I need some traction.
My name is Param. I run products at UiPath. This is my sort of first, first adventure with startup. I've spent about 2 decades prior to UiPath at various large technology companies. I started in product management right at the .com bust in the year 2001. The company called Siebel Systems, which then got acquired by Oracle. I went to go work at SAP when that happened, and then went to work at Microsoft right about when Microsoft was going through a transformation from a operating system and consumer-driven company to a cloud and enterprise company in 2012. Spent 6 years at Microsoft, and then decided I've done this plenty of times with large tech companies. I kind of wanted to do something different, so I joined UiPath in 2018, early 2018. It was $40 million in revenue then. It had taken them, the company was founded originally in 2005 and had kind of stumbled on a few things and then finally started hitting acceleration a few years ago in 2015 and had rapidly grown to $40 million in revenue, which is a great accomplishment for startups. What I saw in the technology then was a promise that it could do a lot more. And this came from the experience that I'd seen working with large enterprise software companies. So I'll talk a little bit about sort of, what are the things that worked for UiPath. Now that may or may not work for your businesses and what you're trying to do, but I just wanted to share my experience. I only have one experience, and I wanted to share that and kind of what are some of the things we did to take a $40 million business run rate into a $1 billion business through over a course of 4.5 years. So these are just pretty impressive stats. Growth that pretty much was at triple digits for the first couple of years, and then it's kind of gone down into upper double digits recently. We've got, we have now more than 170 customers that pay us more than $1 million in revenue. But that wasn't always the case. When we started the company, a lot of our initial customers were spending less than $30,000, $40,000 in annual recurring revenue. And the challenge that we had as a product team was, how do we take that initial land, the product pitch that we did in 2018, how do we take that and turn that into an opportunity with a customer that could pay us millions of dollars? And we weren't selling to the segment that we were targeting wasn't a small to medium-sized enterprise. We were targeting large enterprise customers. And those large enterprise customers were just doing departmental spend with us. And the challenge that we had as a product team was, how can we take that departmental spend of $30, $40 million in annual recurring revenue and turn that into hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, that company can spend with us. So the transformation from a product perspective we did was take the capabilities, and this is on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the product pitch as we did in 2018. And the right-hand side, you see the product pitch that we do today. And if you notice, the key difference here is we went from a product that could solve a pain point for a customer to a platform that could solve lots more use cases for customers. And a lot of this innovation came to UiPath in directly working with customers, right? Your customers can tell you a lot of things. If you work with your customers and say, you've invested some money with us, we'd like you to get more value out of the investment that you've done with us. How can we make sure that you're getting more value? And then lots of things with Unlock, and I want to walk you through some of those things that we did early with our customers. So our product pitch in 2018, for those of you that don't know UiPath, what we do is we automate business processes in an enterprise. So there's a lot of business process that happens in enterprises. That's a very predictable pattern of things that people do over and over again. Think of employee onboarding. When you're onboarding an employee, the employee has to be set up in X number of systems, right? All the way from payroll to, IT systems to, different benefit system. And that happens, for many companies like hundreds of times every week because they're hiring hundreds of new employees every week. And what they do is they basically have somebody that's punching in all this employee data for hundreds of people every week doing the same thing over and over again. Think of accounts payable processes. You have vendors sending you invoices, and there's somebody that's basically opening those invoices on the left-hand side and the right-hand side in swivel chair operation, typing that into the accounts payable application so that the invoices can get paid off according to the contracts you have in place. Again, very repetitive pattern of work that happens over and over again people do. So our core technology that we created was how can you take a sequence of UI actions, right, understanding the user interface and the UI actions, and you can automate that experience over that thing. And that drove the initial revenue that got us to the Series A valuation, that got us to $40 million in revenue, and that was the product pitch. Very valuable. It helped us land into the enterprises, helped us build a very good, solid foundation business. As we started doing that with customers, and as we started thinking about how do we take this smaller business opportunity that we have with our customers and expand it into a bigger TAM for those customers and also for other customers out there, we went back to our customers and we said, well, what else can we innovate on, right? So in 2018, you'd say the core thing that we had on the left-hand side was UI automation. We could understand information that appeared on a computer screen, whether that was a mainframe screen or a web application or a Windows application, and we can kind of easily train somebody to say, take these sequence of actions and automate the business process. What our customers told us there was, this is great, it's working for us, we're getting value in these two processes, but we want to scale it, we want to run this thousands of times. Give us scalability and give us security to make sure that the authentication that happens for these robots as they go into those systems is supported. So we invested a lot at that point in time in scalability and security, right? Then our customers told us that there's only that many processes that happen in our company that are completely autonomous, right? The things that happen without any human intervention. There's a lot more processes that are done part by humans, part by robots. So if you can say that, 80% of the time this process is driven completely autonomous, as in no human needs any intervention, but 20% of the times humans need to validate certain information, they need to correct it, it's outside of the bounds of what we want robots to process. Well, what if you can create a platform for us where we can orchestrate human actions with robot actions? So you can automate parts of the process and then involve humans in other parts of the process. So we created human-in-the-loop capability that basically said, all of a sudden, you're no longer automating just 5 or 6 processes in your in the enterprise. You're now thinking about automating 100 processes in the enterprise because you have a lot more things you can do with humans and robots working together. So that helped us sort of drive more use cases that our customers could use with our platform. Customers saw that as a benefit because now they can apply our technology more broadly into the enterprise. It was a big benefit for us because all of a sudden we were automating more processes, which means we were selling more of our software to the same customers. And that drove a metric that Wall Street and investors carefully monitor, which is net dollar retention, which is a customer that comes and spends $1 with us this year, how much they renew next year. Right? We are at about 138%, which means a customer spends $1 with us this year, comes back and renews at $1.38 next year. And that's what drove some of these things, because we can drive a lot more use cases within the enterprise. Then our customers come back to us and said, you've got OCR technology to understand what is on that invoice so we can extract information out of it. But what we need is a better document understanding capabilities, because we've got invoices coming in hundreds of different formats, and we want you to give us an ability to sort of understand invoices just like a human eye does, classify them just like a human eye does. So we involve sort of AI algorithms to understand documents, classify documents, extract information from documents. So we're now solving a lot more document-centric processes within an organization as well. And for those of you that were dealt with large organizations, you know there's still a lot of paperwork across all industries and all kinds of use cases. So document understanding, solved that. We had a large customer that came to us, a systems integration firm, that said they want their consultants to do the same type of work over and over again from one client to another client to another client. And but the work that they do is not like thousands of times. They do it maybe hundreds of times, and it's very specific to the knowledge that this business associate has. But if we can give them a way to automate what they do, and they can automate it themselves, then they'll be able to deploy to every single associate within the United States, which is about 50,000 associates at that point in time. So working with them, we build citizen development capability so that you can build processes as a business user without having to write any code, without having to know anything about technology and programming. So citizen development sort of led that thing. We had a customer that said, this UI automation can be used for us to do testing. Right? We have a legacy application that we use in healthcare. What if we could automate our testing and remove humans that are doing this manual testing with this? So they started using what we built for business process automation for test automation. And learning from them, we basically said, okay, there's a few things that are missing, but if we can take what they have done, add those few bells and whistles that they've created, we are now launching into test automation. We can do test automation capabilities as well. So in all, like a lot of this innovation that we did helped drive our growth in the enterprise from $40 million to $1 billion in revenue. But I'd say almost every single one of these capabilities, I can look at it and I remember the name of the customer that we worked very closely with that not only validated the requirements, but actually drove a lot of those requirements. So if you're in the enterprise B2B cycle, I'd say always listen to your customers. A lot of times we assume we're working for a software company. Yeah, we know better. What do these customers know about technology? We are writing the code, so we know. Our customers know a lot, right? They are in and out in those business processes all the time. They can tell you the requirements of what our applications and softwares need to do very well. So spend time with them, and there's, sometimes they will take you down a road of trying to customize specifically the requirements. You have to know when you say, well, that seems very specific. I'm going to try to create something generic that every one of my customers can use. But you can learn a lot from what your customers are telling you and teaching you. So this is what we talk to our customers today about, right? It's no longer just UI automation. It is a platform that every user within the enterprise can use. It's not just targeted to the 5 users that are creating those automation. Every end user with human-in-the-loop capabilities, with business applications that are based on RPA, robotic processes, can create. So every user in the enterprise is a customer. That is significant boost to what we can do with our customers and expanding our target addressable market. We talk about our platform as something that's not just for building automation. It's for discovering what your business process is. And we did a number of acquisitions in that space to basically say using database way to discover what your business process is, build those automations, manage them, run them, engage, measure. So essentially, instead of doing a very specific product-based capability that drive UI automation, all of a sudden you are having a conversation at the C-level, at the CIO level, and saying, we are going to help solve your issues with labor shortages. Right? We are going to help create digital workers that can help automate business processes within the enterprise, and we're going to make people more productive because we can give them the ability to do repetitive actions without them having to spend a lot of time doing it themselves. And this was a key part of that. Another important thing that every software company should consider, not just like we heard a great story from Expensify earlier today that they went directly to end users and got end users to drive growth of the enterprise. Most of our business comes from direct B2B enterprise sales today, right? Most of our large deals happen that way. But a lot of that is facilitated because somebody in the enterprise went to our website 4 years ago or 3 years ago, was able to download our product and use it for their personal use in their automation, learn some great way to build those automations, and is using it to monitor maybe web fares from across their favorite destinations, or to automate billing for the utility accounts. So making sure that you create a way, a frictionless way for anybody to be able to come and use your platform and learn your platform very quickly will give you lots and lots. And that may not always lead to net leads in the system that you're converting and driving revenue for, but it will create a community of people that are invested in your platform, that want to make sure that your platform is used at the enterprise because they have learned that platform, applied it to their own personal use, maybe to their use at the work as well, and now they want the company to come in and invest in the platform so it can be used more broadly. We get a lot of our business even today that comes from an HR analyst that goes and learns our platform over the weekend, figures out how to do employee onboarding, and then says, well, I built this myself over the weekend. I can use it. Why doesn't the company invest in it so that we can use it more, more fully in a more compliant way? So invest in making sure that you have a way to drive product-led growth. Even if it's not product-led revenue growth, it is still product-led growth if you can get a lot of your community to come invest, learn the platform. Also invest in the ecosystem, making sure that your partners, first of all, when you create a platform, you want to create it in a way that people can build interfaces to it. They can grow other kinds of components in it which customers will find value for. And then make sure you create value for them to invest in that ecosystem, for partners to come invest in that ecosystem, ISVs to come invest in that ecosystem. This is something that most companies that do B2B enterprise software today do not pay a lot of attention in the early years. We paid a lot of attention to this in the early years, and this helped drive a lot of our early customers and continues to drive a lot of growth for us. I'd also say that enterprise software does not exist in isolation. Enterprise software, you can only use, there is no enterprise today that uses one system to conduct their business. In every enterprise, there's lots of different systems, lots of these things, and you can solve every single pain point for the customer. You have to make sure that you build an ecosystem where ISVs are incented to build on your platform, and you invest in a team that is focused on making sure that you're selling to those ISVs to solve the last mile of pain point for your customers. And that gives you benefits and lots of rewards in here. A lot of companies want to solve it all when they go out first, and it's great. You want to create a platform to solve as many problems as possible. But trust me, there will be other things that companies are using. So creating an open platform that your ISVs can plug into, and then investing in those ISVs to make sure that those things are being built. We actually went, when we first started doing this, we actually went and built the first set of integrations to those. We built integrations to the most commonly platforms we saw, which is Microsoft Office, Salesforce, SAP, ServiceNow. We said all of these things we're going to build ourselves and we're going to publish in our marketplace, and that then drove the momentum for others to come in and say, okay, these are all systems that are in there, we're going to invest that as well. And the second part is, when you sell to large enterprises, they have partnerships in place with global SIs. Investing in global SIs to make sure that they understand your platform, training them, making sure that from a go-to-market perspective, they are taking your message and selling with them. We drive about majority of our business today, which is touched by a global SI, and global SIs are key influencers in making those decisions. So making sure you keep investing in the global SIs as well. The growth metric, a lot of times companies track metrics around revenue growth, and that's great. That's the one that's most relevant when you're talking to investors and are talking to the Wall Street. But one of the ones that's really important for a product team to track is the market share that you have across your category. And if your market share in the category grows, if you get to 30% plus, 30% is generally what you'll see in the enterprise software for a company to get in terms of the maximum market share. But if you get to 30 to 40% market share, you know that you're doing things correct. So keep a focus on your market share. What is your share of wallet with your customers across that industry, across the category, and making sure that you're continuing to grow that over the years. This is extremely important. The last thing I'd say is that don't overlook what the analysts are saying. Validation from analysts about your product strategy, about your product vision, around how you're executing in the marketplace is extremely important as well, because a lot of the buyers in the enterprise software space are calling these analysts and asking them for advice on what should they go with, what investment should they do. So there's an incentive to making sure that these analysts are speaking about you or actually bringing you up, because then you'll get invited to more RFPs, then you'll get invited to more interactions there. So last but not least, I want to talk about sort of where does UiPath go from here? So you get from $40 million to $1 billion in 4.5 years, and now you've got to look at, well, how do we drive the next level of growth? How do we get to the next billions of dollars? And my perspective on this is that our initial foray was around UI automation. That's what got us into tens of millions of dollars. And then we took from tens of millions of dollars to a platform. We got from tens of millions of dollars to hundreds of millions of dollars, because all of a sudden you're doing more deals and you got to a place where people are making bigger investments and you're looking at more end-to-end process. I think the next version of a growth will come from making sure that we become part of the digital platform, the digital transformation that companies are pursuing. And a lot of companies are trying to drive the digital transformation, but one of the things that's different is, as you look at creating the digital transformation, you have to now go evolve ourselves from being a platform to being a solution provider that's helping drive order-to-cash processes, procure-to-pay processes, helping drive innovation on top of the existing investments that companies have made in ERP and core platform supply chain and CRM systems. We're looking at basically coalescing some of the adjacent categories. So you've got today business process automation, you've got integration platforms, you've got business process management tools, you've got low-code applications. All of these things are in some ways addressing the same problems for the companies, which is how do they actually get them to drive more efficiency in business process and making sure they're breaking the silos that exist across these systems. And we believe that these 4 categories are going to increasingly come closer and closer together, maybe become one mega category at some point in time. But all of these are solving the same pain points for customers, which is how do they drive business innovation quickly into the enterprise. And we believe that we have a role to play there with the tools that we have built, and that will drive the next wave of our growth there. So with that, I think I'm done with my talk. I'm super thankful to have this opportunity to come speak with you. I'm around the next 2 days. Would love to connect with you over LinkedIn, over email. Please find me in the hall. Would love to talk more one-on-one with more of you. And I think we'll invite Ray back, and I think we have a break right after this, but I'll have Ray give you the specifics. Thank you very much.
I need some traction. You need some traction. Let's get some traction.